I'd like to call the September 3rd Marquette County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. And I see we have Mr. Ned Corey. Would you start off the Pledge of Allegiance for us, Ned? Thank you so much.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. Linda, roll call, please.
Commissioner DePietro.
Here.
Commissioner Adamini.
Here.
Commissioner Elholm.
Here.
Commissioner Nordine.
Here.
Chairperson DeRosa.
Here. Approval of tonight's agenda with a additional correction on 10C, which is some clerical changes on the resolution.
Move to approve the amended section, or agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Elholm. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Adamini. Any questions on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. Approval of minutes following regular meeting on August 20, 2024. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Motion made by Vice Chair Nordine. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Commissioner DePietro. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Closed session minutes held on August 20, 2024.
Did we get that? We don't have them.
No, you don't. They were shredded by the clerk. So,
That was a little snafu.
So, we can do that at the next
We
meeting?
can do that
Correct.
the next
Okay.
meeting.
Moving on, there you go.
So we will address the closed session minutes on our next
Adjourned.
meeting. Proclamations, presentations, and awards. There are none. Public comment. Public comment?
Don't get nervous, Joe, it's okay. I'm Lynn Durant. I hope my allergies won't preclude me from speaking clearly. I live at 265 Bishop Woods Road, Marquette Township. This is just information for you, because I'm sure you don't go to every meeting that's in the county. It involves the Solid Waste Authority and the meeting that they had September 21st, a couple weeks ago. And I'd like to say first that I think that that group is probably almost as important as the county commission, in that they work with all the municipalities in the county. They have a huge effect on what happens in this county. Pardon me. And they oversee important facets of vital county operations. I'm aware that this commission has no authority over the authority, but again, this is just for information. At their meeting, they had a tire grant topic on the agenda. It was actually on the consent agenda, which means that they weren't going to discuss it. One of the commissioners pulled it out, which I thought was fortunate, and they had a very short discussion. They also had a unanimous vote to support the motion, and it passed. The motion was to dissolve and not go for tire grants anymore, to help pay for the tire reclamation, mostly from the woods. Once the discussion was done, I think at least two, maybe three of the board members realized that they probably should have talked about it more. and did talk about it more. There was more discussion. They actually had quite a bit of discussion from the audience at the public comment part at the end of the meeting as well. 26, so 5 days later, I'm pretty sure some of you got it too. There was a letter, an email from them, from Mike Stannard, the director, explaining that they were not going to be going for any more grants. That the 60-40 split was too costly for them, and they couldn't afford it, so they weren't going to do it. So that kind of got my ire a little bit, but I had a small meeting this morning with a couple of townships, and they're trying to figure out, what do we do now? You know, because any of us that have woods know that there are tires in the woods, and you can take out pounds and pounds of them. So one of the people at the meeting just jumped on board and tried to come up with all of these different rationales and options, and how do we pay for this, and who does it, and how many roll-offs do we get, and where do we have it? I mean, he was just on it. He did a great job. But my comment to him was that we can't do the authority's job. They've got to do their own job. If they have to raise tipping fees or find other sources or do something different, that's their job. It shouldn't fall to us municipalities. That's not our responsibility. They do unilateral decisions without hardly any discussion, much less informing the public of what they're doing, and I think it's to our defamation, discredit. I just have serious issues about their methodology, and again, I understand that you have no control over them. This is just my information for you. And we are going to have this discussion a little bit further in the County Township Association meeting on September 25th, along with some road commission, or not road commission, but road millage discussions, and figure out where we're going to go from there. So I just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. Public comment.
I have a
Any
question.
further?
Who appoints that body? Do we?
We appoint 3 of the 7. 3 of the 7 we appoint.
Mhm.
And then they're appointed by the city of Marquette. One's appointed by the western townships, one by the eastern townships, one by themselves. Or is it 3 or 2 that we appoint? One of them, 2 or 3.
2.
For sure, 2.
I think it's 2.
2.
100.
3, excuse me.
I'm trying to add them all.
3. We got one in Gwin. We got
No, but you got one in the west townships, one in the east townships.
one in the cities.
One from the cities,
Yep.
which is right. And then 2 from the city of Marquette appoint, 1 in Sands. No, we only appoint 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Appoint 2 to 7.
So, yeah. Public comment. Any further public comment? Any electronic comment? Hearing no further public comment, we'll close the public comment session. Review of claims and accounts, total expenditures paid via check and EFT transferred for the period of August 16, 2024 through August 29, 2024, with $3,496,069.66, and the biweekly payroll ending August 17, 2024 was $804,654.34. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I move to pay the bills as represented.
Motion by Commissioner Alholm. Is there support on the bills?
Support.
Support by Commissioner DePietro. Questions or comments on the bills? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pay the bills. No public hearings. Privilege comment. Under Sheriff.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd just like to present our August statistics for the Marquette County Sheriff's Office. In our Corrections Division, the numbers are basically the same as last month, with the slight caveat, and that's toward the end of the month, our numbers upticked and we implemented our jail management plan, which is a agreement with the courts that if people reach certain criteria, we can release them from jail if they don't object. So we released 8 people under that jail management plan. And as I just left the jail a couple minutes ago, our population was at 90. So we may look at do further jail management plan releases. But as of in August, last month there, we averaged 82 again. 16 of those were considered homeless or not reporting an address, and we averaged about 2 federal inmates per day. On the law enforcement side, all of our general cars, contract, and grant cars responded to 338 calls for service, wrote 59 case reports, responded to 34 traffic crashes, and 11 crashes that were in non-traffic areas. And they served 183 civil process paperwork. Our Special Operations Division, our 131 unit responded to 9 personal injury crashes, 1 water rescue, 3 structure fires, had 6 missing or endangered person complaints. We had 1 injured person extraction off a mountain bike, 1 distressed swimmer, did 3 public assists, and responded to 1 ORV crash. Our front office processed 51 firearm applications, 95 purchase permits were issued, 148 handguns were registered, and 227 civil papers were received through our front office. Any questions?
Busy month.
That's a lot of 131.
Yeah.
A lot of accidents.
Yep.
Thank you, Under Sheriff. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anybody have any further questions?
No.
No informational items. Action items. Dwayne, you're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. What I have before you this evening is a request for consideration to move forward with a ARP grant through the state of Michigan, and this is relating to our KICR Water Department improvement project. We've made several steps in this process. We're getting closer to the end game. We recently received a grant through the state, and this grant is for $3,367,500 coming through the state. The total project cost for the improvements is at $6,735,000, with the remaining funding coming in through a USDA loan process. More or less what I'm asking for this evening is consideration to move forward with the execution of the grant. As you can see in the memo, there is the criteria with, or the plan of the project. We have the design and planning portion, the construction portion, with a total grant amount, again, of $6,735,000. But at the end of the day, all we're looking for is approval to move forward with grant proposal.
Thank you for that information. Board's pleasure.
I move to approve the Eagle ARP grant for $3,367,500 and authorize the chairperson to sign the grant document.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Alholm. Support by Commissioner Adamini. Discussion, question, or comments for Dwayne?
So I see
Register.
that you're saying that the loan closing with USDA is on September 19th, so that's the bonds and everything, I mean,
Yes, that is correct.
all of it. So we're ready to go, this was one last step and it's gonna be closed.
There are still a couple steps. We're working through some of the items with the USDA for remaining documentation. We will have all of the information and all the required documents in by the 18th. We still have one more item that we'll be bringing to the board on the 17th for a proposed budget for the 2026 calendar year for the water department, and that's just a demonstration that the increased rates will accommodate the expenses that we're going to acquire with the loan and the interest and the bond payments. So,
Well, the citizens at Sawyer, that's who this affects. we're concerned about a significant increase in, this is water and sewer or just sewer?
This is just water.
Just water.
This is just
So they're worried about a significant increase in water, although I think when this first comes out with the plan, it looks at the worst-case scenario, it's the whole 6 million in some, right? And then that's what the rates would have to be. But now that we have a grant, it's gonna be lesser rate increases, right?
There still is criteria that we have to abide by. It's because what we were designated is an overburdened community, and that was one of the criteria that awarded us this grant. If we weren't classified as an overburdened community, we wouldn't have been awarded the grant, and that the overburden criteria was met with the increased water rate that would put us in that status. Now, I did have conversations with the administrator and the finance manager, and what we will do is, moving forward, is once we get this process in place and the grant and the project rolling, we will be acquiring with the state to see if there is a way that we can amend the fees so that we can lower them down, because at the end of the day, we will be collecting more than we actually need. But still, that will be a discussion we'll have with the state at a future date.
I mean, that's a challenged community, and I feel bad that we're gonna have significant increases in water. Do you have any idea what percentage increase it's gonna look like?
Well, the percentage for the water increase rate is nearly a 50% increase, but when you look at the real dollars and cents on this, we did the math, and the average water bill to date for the average resident is roughly about $28 to $32 a month, and that's water and sewer. With the water increase, their water bill would potentially go up maybe $8 additional, and the reason that being is that we have a minimum water usage, anything over 1,000, well, we charge a minimum rate of 1,000 gallons, which currently is $6.91, but when we shift into the increase rate will go to $12.75, so that is an increase of little less than $6 per thousand. Many of the residents don't use much over 1,000 gallons on an annual or on a monthly basis, so in all reality, their bills will not be as significant. The percentages, when you say 50%, yes, it seems like a lot, but...
Well, the problem is that I should say some folks out there spoke to me, and a lot of them were families, so they're low-income families, single mothers with a couple of kids, that sort of thing, and every one of them said they were paying like $100 to $130 a month for their water and sewer.
That may be correct, but when we did the math on it, the average residential user was roughly about $28 to $32 per month.
I find that hard to believe, but...
So if I might step in, you know, as part of your budget process, we'll be going over that with you. It's in the budget memo, what that rate increase is. It actually looks higher than that, but the numbers are to what Dwayne is talking about. So the numbers are actually much higher than even 50% when you look at that, but the actual number itself is not. It's not jumping up to the level. It will impact people, but not to that same amount.
I just hate to see a struggling family paying, instead of $120 a month for water and sewer, paying $180 a month. I hate to see that, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know what to do about it.
Sam?
Yeah, I was just gonna say what Scott said, that in your budget binder, and they'll be ready on Friday, it does mention the percentage increases for each fund in the memo, but then also there's a rate attachment to it that shows you the water rates and the sewer rates, so just draw your attention to that.
Thank you.
So I have a question, Mr. Dure. So if there's ample funding to keep this water system operational, are we going to reduce those rates?
Are we allowed to?
That's what we're gonna.
Because that's a big concern, right?
Yeah, that'll be the discussion that we'll have with the state to see, once we completed the project and we make sure that the actual revenue generated is accommodating the demands on the loan rate and the interest, then we can pursue conversations with the state to address potentially a lower water rate.
How many customers on,
There's roughly 1,241 accounts currently.
how many large customers, industrial
We have
users?
41 large industrial accounts currently.
And are they subject to the same rate as
They-
the residentials?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have a motion on the floor and support. Any further questions or comments for Dwayne? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Stay right where you are, Mr. Dure, you've got one more to do.
Yes, this request is requesting a initial drawdown or an initial request for drawdown of U.S. Loan fund dollars. The first request with the loan, we have to request at least a minimum of $60,000. Our first request that we're looking at will be, if approved, would be $64,516.01. With the memo, there was a packet with several invoices that were associated with that. There is a Miller Canfield invoice, a State of Michigan invoice, a Marquette Law invoice, and then a GE consultant invoice. The whole process of drawing down or requesting these funds at this rate is currently, we are only requesting for dollars that are not eligible under the grant, so that until we draw the funds down, we don't pay interest on it. So we draw down as the minimal amount for what is required under the grant. And then as we move forward, we'll draw down the other dollars that are once we have exhausted the grant dollars, we'll start to draw down the loan dollars, and then we would accumulate the interest on that. Again, this is a process with the USDA. We're going to be coming back with this very request with different invoices on a monthly basis to request future drawdowns. And again, we're looking to draw down the minimum amount at this stage so that we're not paying interest on dollars that we don't necessarily need to pull out of the loan fund yet. There is an attached document with the motion requiring signatures for the board chair and the clerk.
So I have a question. Maybe this is for the administration. So I see Miller Canfield has a direct charge of 17.5. Aren't they collecting a percentage of the bond? Is this in addition to that? Maybe
I'd
that's
have to verify. I feel remiss giving you an answer
Okay.
without having a better answer.
That just seems, I always thought that they were a percentage of the bond. This is something a little bit different, but
We'll get verification.
It's in front of us,
For
right?
you as.
Any further questions on Dwayne's memo presentation from anybody? Hearing none, is there a motion to move forward?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner DePietro. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Adamini. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Dwayne. 911 Administrative Finding Resolution. We have a resolution in front of us. Go ahead, Jerry.
Good evening, Commissioners. In front of you, I have a 911 resolution finding from an audit that we just had with the state for S&C funds and training. Out of that, we had some updates when it came to our wired-based service providers in our area, as well as to our emergency response agencies. So with this, what I'm looking for is for you to approve the resolution of the administration findings so we can add this to our 911 plan with the updated language of the correct responding agencies and the correct wired providers for our area, for our service district.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there a
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner DePietro. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Vice Chair Nordine. Questions or comments on the resolution? Hearing none, moving forward. Roll call vote, please, Linda.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Elbow?
Yes.
And Chairperson DeRosa?
Yes. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Next on the list, looks like, under Sheriff Larson.
Just a little background, 131 unit, we have our main rescue truck, which is the late 90s version, and we're scheduled to, it's in our the new truck is currently in production, and we're hoping to get it in November or December of this year. With that new truck, it does not have a hydraulic system. That's the new trend, is to have battery-operated extrication tools. So anticipating this, we wrote into capital projects for this year, $55,000 to cover these new, what they call e-tools, or basically a cordless tool that runs on battery. So we wrote a RFP and opened those bids on the 27th of August, and we'd only received one bid from from Michigan Rescue Resources LLC. Now on the bid, it came in at just over $61,000, but our 131 supervisor, Ned Corey, noticed that there was one extra item on there. So after removing that item, that bid then dropped to $57,909. This is in excess of the $55,000 that we had requested in our capital project. So anticipate that the remainder be paid for out of the rescue safety reserves. So it's my recommendation to purchase the Genesis Rescue Systems equipment as specified from Michigan Rescue Resources LLC for $57,909. And if you need any specifics on the what was specified for the tools, I'd refer you to 131 supervisor Ned Corey. Is I'm not a firefighter, so.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from him. Ned,
Yeah.
if you would, please. So a couple of quick questions, Ned. So I appreciate all you do. You have a very important role in Marquette County with the 131 and the rescue team in regards to public safety. I take my hat off to you. You don't sometimes have a very nice job to do, so, but it's very important to Marquette County. Are these the latest and greatest tools that you're going to need to equip the new truck?
At this time.
Okay. And what's our timeline on this?
He figures 4 months.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, everything is as you need?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Look to the board for,
Yeah, I'll move to approve the recommendation as presented.
And I would support.
Commissioner DePietro puts it on the floor, and support by Vice Chair Nordine. Any further questions or comments?
So a couple of things. One is, Forsyth has these. We just got ours a couple
Right.
months ago.
Same person sold them.
Yeah, it's surprising how much power you have in battery-operated jaws of light. We always had pneumatic before, and it was a tough deal with all the hoses and everything going on, and now all of a sudden we have these batteries, and we tore a whole car apart with them. It's just shocking how much power you can get out of these batteries. So no,
And half
and
the
it's
weight,
handy.
half the weight.
Half the weight, and all they're pretty heavy still, but you're not dragging hoses. It's simpler. It's easier to use. It's easier to train people. It's a wonderful thing. So no, I'm all for that for sure. And I do want to compliment 131 to do a remarkable job. It's hard because you have 19 townships and 3 cities. I don't, except Marquette City's full time, but that, you're all volunteer firefighters, and you never know when you get a call who's going to show up and who's not going to show up. But 131 shows up, and that's important that you're there to back them up, to be there in support, to be fulfill that whole thing. So you guys do a great job, and you're very necessary. So any tools you need to do your job, you have to let us know.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and support on the floor. Is there any further questions or comments for Mr. Corey?
Oh, I have one question, just out of curiosity. Do you replace the batteries when needed, or are they rechargeable?
They're rechargeable, they have a lifespan, but the batteries we can purchase from OK Industrial, from Otavero, they're the Milwaukee tool batteries, so they're readily available.
Okay. No other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Ned, and please, let your team know the county board is very appreciative of their volunteer efforts as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. You bet. Brownfield redevelopment, I think this one's Ann's.
Yeah, or the clerk, this is a board appointment. So we have one position open on the Brownfield Authority. Last time you appointed members, we didn't have any applicants, and we now have 2 applicants, to serve. So, yeah, that's all.
Okay. So, let's,
So I'm gonna need a roll call, and I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Chair, I'll go around the room and see who they choose, Jermaine or Hilliard Genshaw, because we only have 1 vacancy, and we have 2 applicants. Are you good with that?
yes, sir, or yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner DePietro, which one would you choose? Christopher Jermaine or Kelly Hilliard?
Go with the 2 names again, please.
Christopher Jermaine or Kelly Hilliard Genshaw, I think I'm saying that right.
I believe Genshaw.
Okay. And Commissioner Adamini,
Jermaine.
Commissioner Elholm,
Jermaine.
Commissioner Nordine,
Genshaw.
and Chairperson.
Oh, you're the one now. There's 5 of us, you're the one.
It looks like I'm the one, right?
You're the one.
Jermaine.
Thank you so much.
Moving right along, courthouse annex restroom project.
I'll take this
Scott's
one.
gonna take that.
Don was occupied for a little bit, so he's not able to be here. In short, this is a continuation of some of the work that's been approved by the board. Funding has been set aside in the Public Improvement Fund. We're finally able to get out on the streets to take proposals, and with that, we came up with a low proposal by Klausner Construction. Thought we had the bids with us at some point, they're not here, with a low price of $136,600. We had, I think, 4 actually submit proposals for this, so it was a really good bid. 3 were really tight. Again, I don't know how you didn't get the actual proposals. So what the project is to upgrade the sinks and counters, new stall dividers, new ceiling tiles and lighting, and new floor covering. We're gonna leave the existing tile that's in there, but it's gonna have a new covering similar to what you see at the new entrance for the secure area. So it's a good project, it's been needed. We'll have some uniformity among the bathrooms. It's for the 6 bathrooms within this building.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
You have ample funding for that.
Can we get a motion to get on the floor?
I'll make the motion then.
Motion by Commissioner DePietro. Is there support? Commissioner Adamini. So Scott,
Yes,
this is for the bathrooms in this building,
the main bathrooms.
the main bathrooms.
Not the individual ones periodically through here.
Was there consideration to redo the tile, or was it just,
We talked about it, but, prices start going up. We're not pulling the tile off the walls, but the flooring, we felt that was a good way, an alternate way to do that. It's gonna be very bright and attractive, and clean, and it will fit some of the barrier-free requirements we need.
okay, Vice Chair?
So there's an odd thing about this, and that is that it says we had 4 proposals received, and the low proposal was Klossner Construction.
Yeah.
And then it says recommend you take the low bid, but you didn't give us the other 3.
Well, I thought I provided all of that. There was a spreadsheet that, or a sheet that.
That's
was
so
with
unlike
it.
you, because you always have all the different.
Is it in there? It just,
Not in mine.
yeah, I knew
Not
that.
mine.
No, it's in there, darn it. Where's it at?
Right here.
Yeah, okay.
Not in mine.
Mine, huh?
I
So
have
this
it.
is what was provided. It was the
I
recommendation.
have it, yes.
Okay, so it's there, so.
Yeah.
Someone,
Thank goodness somebody.
You
had
got
this.
shorted.
some had it and some didn't. or what?
I don't know what it is. So
I have one in my packet.
Okay.
So you have it. so-
And I didn't doubt that they were the lowest.
I'll
No,
share
I'd
with
still
you.
like to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I
It's
said,
interesting that they're all,
They're pretty tight.
These are all local.
Yeah, they're local.
I don't know what
and
A&F is, but. I'm not-
It's a good
And
bid
that's a
spread,
lot.
so I was really pleased to see that, and so was the staff.
And Myron's here now local, so I mean, these are all local,
Yep.
local
Yep.
contracts.
There you go.
So we have a motion and support on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Public Safety Initiative discussion. So I've asked the administration to put this on the agenda, and I think it's of high importance, and we have non-tax dollars, that revenue that we collect from cannabis funds, from licensing agencies, licensing is business in Marquette County. And I would like to create a new public safety line item in Marquette County with cannabis dollars. And one of the reasons I'd like to do this is it'll enhance public safety for the residents that we serve, and it'll show that we've taken this additional revenue that's non-tax dollars and put it to public safety, whether that's direct for law enforcement, and I'm just spitballing items here as far as things to think about. We haven't had 24/7 road patrol in Marquette County for years. When I first got on this board 10 years ago, I was astonished to find out that a county like Marquette County didn't have round-the-clock road patrol. That's one of the things that I think could be looked at. Also, other public safety items that are relative to Marquette County, and create a separate line item with a percentage of funds and dollars annually. This board can allocate revenue with public input from department heads and community leaders as to what public safety line items are important to them. We just had a situation where $131, although we have search and rescue millage money to take care of that, but some of these things become very expensive, as you know, unforeseen costs, and I think we would do ourselves well taking some of the cannabis proceeds and allocating it into a public safety line item. Can we get this on the floor for discussion?
I'd make a motion to follow the chair's suggestion of forming a cannabis, a new public safety line item using the cannabis funds.
So we have a motion on the floor by Vice Chair Nordine. Is there support by Commissioner DePietro? Any further questions or comments? Karen?
Are we looking at primarily law enforcement and rescue funding for this line item?
Well, what I'd first like to do is get it approved at the board level for the concept of the new creation of the line item. Then I'd like to go to line item 2 and talk about what that percentage should be and adjust it annually, whether it should be higher or lower. Then I'd like to go down to what's important, and we can work that out as we go through the budget process as well.
So we're going through steps 1 through 4 tonight?
Correct. So,
No, I think it's a good idea. I think that the cannabis money was newfound money that we didn't envision 10 years ago.
Right.
And before it gets swallowed up into our general fund, I think we should use it for things like law enforcement or public safety. The law enforcement issue with the road officers, you know, when I first got on the board in 2000, 24 years ago, I remember I was shocked to learn that we didn't have road officers 24/7. And then during that time span from like 2000 to 2010, the state police stopped having 24/7 coverage as well. And you, at sometimes in the middle of the night, you may have one car that's covering Alger and Marquette counties. And I always said that's a terrible thing, because if some old lady's got some intruder in her house in Michigami, she might be waiting for 2 hours for somebody to get there. That's craziness.
Right.
And for a county that's as well developed as ours and doing as well as we are, yeah, we should have more road officers, no doubt about it. So if you want to use this for road officers, I'm all about it. But I think that step one is what you said, to identify the funds and then decide what they get used for.
So we have a motion and support on the floor. Any further questions or comments?
One for the chairman. Have you been working with law enforcement to get everybody on the same page?
So I didn't want to get ahead of our skis until the board approved this line item. So there's been discussion that I would like to have something like this created pending the county board's approval. And tonight, if we get it approved, I think we then move forward, so. Commissioner Adamini.
The only question I have is in the authorization to do something like this by the legislature, have they suggested what funds, what these funds can be used for?
That's a good point. That's a good question.
So the legislature, the licensing fees for all of these retail stores that are throughout Marquette County, a percentage of the license goes into the county pot for their general fund or whatever they deem it appropriate, right? So as opposed to, like the vice chair indicated, just dumping it in the general fund. I want to let the general public know, and I call the taxpayer shareholders, that we're doing something very good with the revenue that we're collecting. And, whether it's law enforcement, again, 24/7 road patrol, whether it's police fire, radio, I'm not sure what that need would be. We can discuss that on the next line item.
Well,
No restrictions that I'm aware of.
Right.
That's what you're asking.
yeah, and I'm on the, I'm the Marquette County member of that, and I believe in about 2 weeks from now, we will be getting together all of the counties and deciding where they are suggesting this goes.
Oh, I think you're talking two different funds, Commissioner.
Pardon?
I think those are two different funds that we're talking about, so it's that's the liquor dollars versus.
That's.
But I think they have something to say with it.
No.
But I think that's interesting. I mean, Commissioner Adamini is a former state legislator, and I'm sure when you and your other legislators passed legislation, you probably had ideas of where you thought those funds would go. And maybe they didn't mandate it, but they certainly may have suggested something. We should make sure that we look and see if there is any suggested usage, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do
I'm
some.
all for this, but,
yeah.
I just didn't want to get into it.
Right, understood.
And say, well, you can't do it.
So we have a motion and support on the floor. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of creating a new public safety line item, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Let's go to number 2. Percentage of revenue dollars allocated, based on an annual basis. I guess we know that the dollars that we've received is somewhere, I believe, 980.
No,
Is that?
we were
Budgeting 800,000 for 2025, and it was a little bit more than 800,000 in the current year.
right.
Okay,
We
so,
try to be conservative because that can go up or down.
right, okay, so what was the actual amount we received in 2024?
890 something.
890,
You're making me
900?
wing it here, so I think it's like
It's
890.
between 8 and 9, that's all I can tell you.
Okay.
It's closer.
So how about, rather than the zero down on that, we just do a percentage? I mean, it would be my thought to start to fund this with,
Has any of the cannabis funds been allocated?
It's
20.
completely in the general fund right now, supporting the general fund.
So you don't have it sitting in its own little
Nope.
line item?
No.
Because that was my next question, how much do we want to use
Yeah.
of the existing pot of money? But
well, I
the
guess,
general fund just ate it up already.
Yes, for
Yes, it's already
2024.
happened.
That's why you have to set these things up.
this is why we're doing this, right? 2025.
It's a hungry thing, that general fund.
So,
Yes,
so
it is.
I think during the creation of this, so we can get some good results, I think we should maybe target a number like 50%. And then if that needs to be changed in a mid-budget year, we can look at that if it's more dollars than should be allocated. Discussion?
I'd rather start with a lower percentage and modify it upwards than starting too high and having to lower it because of other demands on our funding.
I wonder what kind of demands would be, though.
I have no
don't
idea, I
either.
just don't want to commit to 50% when I don't know
Yeah.
what else we might be looking at.
Okay, Commissioner?
These people over here are gonna be giving us a proposed budget for next year.
Right.
And, I'm just wondering, what is going to be in that proposed budget that, you would be using of this 800,000? Is that?
Are you asking now? We're kind of working through some of these things we were waiting on today to finalize the budget, what that really looks like and what that does with other requests and other things, so, we're close on what we need to do with the budget, but this was a piece we were waiting for some direction from the board.
But
Mr. Chairman?
my question
As soon as Steve finishes.
is, are you utilizing in your, discussions here, anything specifically that you're, using that money for?
How do you want
Well,
to?
I
mean, I would say no.
We have some flexibility with things, yes.
We have some flexibility. That line item has never been created, so it's not
Yes.
there yet. But again,
Yeah.
as Scott said, we're waiting to see what direction you give us
You'll
tonight.
get a balanced budget
We will
proposed to
create
you.
the line item based on what you tell
Yeah,
us,
you'll
yes.
get a balanced budget proposed to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner DePietro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that our legal counsel was looking over towards me, and he was waiting for some questions that just came up, or the questions I was going to ask. It has been circled, I've seen you thumbing through the pages and marking, and I'm sure you have your concerns as well as our finance director, so any comment?
I don't have any comment. I'll work with both Ann and Scott to make sure that we've got the right apples in the right piles.
Sounds good to me, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so,
I would make a motion that we fund it with 50% as suggested by the chair.
so we have a motion on the floor by the vice chair. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Support by Commissioner DePietro. Questions or comments? Karen?
Now, these expenditures will be new. We've never done this before, so we're gonna have a public safety line item that will be a new source of revenue for expenditures we have traditionally not done.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good take on that?
Yeah?
Yes,
I think so.
yes,
That's why I understand it, too.
absolutely, yes. Motion and support on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Market County to take into consideration input from community leaders and department heads, having a dialogue to determine what specific public safety line items be funded and reviewed annually.
So you don't need a motion for that one or the next one, that's you,
No.
the chair can do that,
Okay,
right?
sure.
Well, wouldn't that
And
be kind of tied in with number 4,
developing a policy, I want staff to develop a policy and criteria of importance to bring back to the board. Yeah, that was the,
After you get the input. from
correct,
community.
correct.
If I might,
Sure.
on seeking that input, we can discuss after, because I have some thoughts on how you might want to gather that, but we're happy to help you in any way to
Right.
create that.
Wonderful. So motion to move forward on items 3 and 4 with staff.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Elholm, support by Commissioner DePietro. Any further questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Let's see. Public comment. Public comment. Any further public comment? Any electronic comments? Any further public comment? One last time, public comment. Commissioners' comments. Mr. DePietro, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Labor Day was a pretty exciting day with the nice warm weather, but what an excellent turnout by everybody that was, not just the people in the unions and that were also in the labor force and things like that. So really had a chance, all of us that were there, get to see a lot of old friends that we hadn't seen for quite a while that's in the unions and that. So they kind of support us with what we're doing and trying to work together with everybody. So anyways, yesterday was a very, very productive day, and I'm glad it went down as it did. You have the chair, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner
You have
Ad-
the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. DePietro. It was good to see you yesterday there as well. Commissioner Adamini.
I have nothing to say other than, it sounds like we're gonna have a nice new budget for this year, and, I'm anxious to see, what things we can do.
Commissioner Elholm. Vice Chair?
You know, the jail committee continues to plow forward. I want to make sure that we don't lose that momentum. I think everyone wants to see a new jail. I think we need it. We heard that tonight, that they keep maxing out at the jail. It's a bad thing. There's a lot of other things that are really wrong with the jail we currently have, the configuration and the lack of really rehabilitating inmates as opposed to just pushing them into a cell. So I think we need to keep moving forward. It's very important. The committee, we have 3 commissioners on there, Commissioner Alholm, Commissioner Lalone, and myself, and I think we have the momentum, and I don't want to lose it. So I did report to the chair about what we talked about at the last committee meeting, and I think, is it coming up next?
It's a plan. We'll have on behalf of the committee, we'll have in front of the commissioners a recommendation. We just received today the proposal and haven't even opened it up yet, but we haven't. We'll get that to the committee and we'll have a recommendation for the board.
So we're going to look at trying to get a plan initially and try to move forward with that. We're also looking at maybe expanding our committee with a couple other people with their expertise, so we'll deal with that as well. But I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we are moving forward with this jail. We really are.
Well, I appreciate the committee's efforts. I look forward to seeing the nitty-gritty and working with Ann at the end of the day as to what the target's going to be, the numbers, and the financial plan behind it. So, but hats off to the initiative for sure, because it's a problem, right? It's a problem, and you know, we need to address if we have bad operators, they can't be out on the street if the judges deem them to have to be in our jail. So,
which is interesting because the judges come under attack all the time, or kind of criticism, I should say, that the criminals aren't being put in jail, but there's no jail to put them in. So it's a problem. It's a real problem, you know, we just don't have, an 80-person jail is not the right capacity for a county the size of Marquette.
Well, and theft and drugs and all of the other components that law enforcement is dealing with, the courts have to deal with, the prosecutors, they're all part in this, they're all held in the same basket, so we need to be supportive of those efforts to do the right thing here, so. Thank you. Any further comments? Staff?
I'll start. Just as noted by Commissioner Adamini, you have your budget hearing starting Monday, the 16th at 1 o'clock here. Your packets should be available on Friday for you to pick up if you want.
Friday?
Yes. So thank you for that additional work. We have some additional things that Ann and I need to do. It was good. We needed that tonight to finalize some of the pieces parts. That's why I couldn't give you as directive an answer, Commissioner, so, but we have a little bit to wrap up, and been a lot of good work by Cammie and Ann to get us here, and the department heads and others, so we'll have a balanced budget for you. It'll be available if you so choose to get them from the administrator's office, and we'll send out an email if somehow we're delayed on punching holes or something, so.
Brett will let you know when they're ready to be picked up. It warms my heart when you pick them up. You have a couple of weeks to look through them before you're.
That way you can call with questions.
You don't want us to pick them up the day before then, you're saying?
No, that makes me sad.
There's a lot of work that goes into this one.
Many hours.
Mr. Newman, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Ann?
Nope.
Linda? Hearing none? Meeting adjourned.
Look at that, right on, almost like that. Almost exactly, 6:59.
Hey, Brian, we're still getting static pages down there, Brian.